Greetings. Thanks for coming back and joining us. I'm Mark. I will be your teacher for today. I'm looking at some stuff that recently came off of a site that we've been walking. Our number is 16-29. And actually this past week, a lot of this. And it just reminded me that I really need to back up a little bit with you guys, slow you down a little bit, and be aware of what you don't see. And talk a little bit about village sites. Now, a village site isn't like 2,500 people living on one spot. It could be 15. It could be 30. It could be a very small group that's there and spending some time. So what I've got is some hard stone tools that came off the site, a lot of flint, and I want to talk to you about all this stuff. And I want to remind you again, I got a message from a fellow this morning, who was complaining about landowners not letting anybody in anymore, and he's just not even going to try anymore because this guy just says no, no, no. Well, guess what? That is the direction that everything is headed, and there are reasons why some landowners are that way and some aren't. Either way, it belongs to them. It's their land, and we have to respect their decisions. And I answered this on YouTube, and I just said, listen, I had a site that I walked for almost 2.5 years. It was had never been walked before. It was only plowed twice historically. It was like a gift from heaven, and we found all kinds of stuff. We had a pure adenosite with slate, and after 2.5 years, the landowner died, and his son said, I don't want any more walking. We tried everything to get in there. We tried everything. We offered to pay him for each time in, good amount of money, but he said, no, I don't want any more walking. It happened. So where am I going? Take care of your landowners, everybody. A lot of you just take this for granted. Oh, hey, thanks. You know what? No, that's not good enough. Meet them, talk to them. People know that most of my landowners, a lot of my big ones, annually, they get a home-baked apple pie. Thank you for this season. One of them collects loosely, so I give him a nice point at the end of the day, something that I found. Be congenial, understand that if they just decide to say no tomorrow, you've lost that farm forever. So don't look over your shoulder and regret. Gratitude goes a long way, everybody. I'm not preaching. I'm just giving you a warning that land is getting less and less. All right, this week we were on this site, and I'm going to start with this frame. And in this frame, what you're going to see is a lot of broken triangles in various stages of brokenness, and then you're going to have a couple preformed triangles that got broken, some more triangles, and some more triangles, but I want you to look at these two. And tell me what you notice. Probably maybe a 30-yard proximity. If I have this knife or triangle and I keep resharpening and keep resharpening, I'm going to end up with this. So I think oftentimes drills are just the evolution of a particular blade or knife. And in this field we find these, and it just seems to gel. So typically when you have a field that's full of triangles, what does that mean, full of triangles? I would say if you found 5 or 6 or 7 in the last year or 2 or 3, guess what? This is a potsherd right here. Not easy to see. It looks like the ground, and if we swing over to this frame, more potsherds. And this one happens to be what we call, remember what we called that, everybody? A rim sherd, okay? And you can see how beaten down they are and just eroded from being in the fields for years. Point being, if you're finding triangles, pottery is going to be there. And it may take you a while to develop the eye to see it, but don't get discouraged, it's there. The other thing, that if you just kind of pan and look through this stuff, what you're going to notice, there's a lot of blades, and there's a lot of blades that are wide, a lot of blades that are narrow and long. And I think one of the reasons why there's so many is that even though this field's been walked forever, Most people don't pick up quote unquote chips or flakes, and they're missing all the micro tools, they're missing the flake knives, and they're missing the blades. So we find a slew of blades when we're in there, and they should be kept, they should be set aside. And then there's other tools that we find, and this is just a really good representation. We are too far away from the river to be finding clams or mussel shells. And so these are somehow indirectly related to the village site. Put them in your frame. It's better to have too much than not enough. And here's a flake turned engraver right here. They modified this edge. They removed chips, put this little edge on it. Another one with little modified points on it. This looks like a flake, but when you hand lens the end right here, 10x is a pretty strong power, but you won't need to go any more than that. You'll see that it's been retouched for this perforator probably. And again, the drift of all the tools that you find coming down, same field. Earlier this spring, some more broken triangles coming out of the field. A drill, late woodland drill, some blanks, some preforms, a couple actually archaic pieces, an archaic side notch, an Ashtabula, and an intrusive mountain point that was in there. This piece is especially nice. It looks like a triangular preform, but if we go to the distal end, you'll see that it's actually rolling over, and it was made into some type of a scraper. And I think we may have another one that came out of the same field that way. These look like truly just preform triangles, but this one has got that rolling edge. This one has the rolling edge, and they were turned into scrapers. Coming back down over here, same field, more tools. And I'm showing you these because at first glance, they just look like chips. And I'm going to tell you, you need to wash, go through every one at a time, and look at both sides. Look at these engravers. This is a double-sided engraver. This is an engraver. This one is broken off. And then we have some thumb scrapers. And then we have, importantly, microchips. And they can be really tiny. And I brought some in, and I wanted to look at these with you. We're down to probably an inch. I came up just randomly. I'm calling an inch or less a micro tool. But here's a little engraver. Here's a blade, and at the end of the blade, it's been worked into a scraper. These are just beautiful little micro tools, and they get even smaller, like these. So you got to take your time and look at them. All right, quick zoom through some of the flint that came out of our field this week. On a village site, there's going to be stone tools. Whether you're seeing them or not, they're there. And this is just this week. And it was just this week pretty much. So let's quickly look at these because they look like rocks, and they are rocks. But would you have dug it out of the ground? And the person that walked with me will be the first one to say, you know what, a lot of these were buried. And we saw this much, and we used that steel trowel because a screwdriver and an ice pick and a cane pole are not going to pop this out of the ground, but a steel trowel will. So we're looking at this guy, we're looking at him. Not just a rock. Oh, wait a minute. Concavity right here. You can feel it with your third eye, your touch, the sense of touch. And I can feel the extent of this area, and there is a little bit of a concavity to it. Now, would you have known it if you saw it laying there like this? What I'm saying to you is that if you've got a village site, there's going to be a lot of tools. And this is going to be new ground for many of you. So this alone is just a rock, but then when I highly examine it, wow, there's this. Another one laying in the field. This is hard sandstone, a higher grade of sandstone, and been dinged and popped by discs and plows like crazy. But it's a village site, so you poke every rock out, you turn them over and look at them, and whoa, looky here. Some kind of an abrasive where they could put edges on. Maybe they had an antler or some type of a tool, and they were just smoothing it like that. Hammerstone, greenstone, typically the ends are just pounded off of this guy. Beat everywhere on this thing. This is a typical hand, but look, if it was in this field, would you have dug that? You gotta do it. If you're on a workshop, a serious workshop area or a village site, start knocking them out of the ground. This looks like just a flat piece of really nice high-grade sandstone, low-grade metamorphic maybe. But when we look at them, we handle them, we can feel this has been sculpted. So with a hand lens, we can actually see some of the polishing, but over here, my fingers can feel a very big concavity going across it like this. I call these biscuits. This is a biscuit. It's a hammer, they're unique. In my part of Ohio, we don't find many of them. I think a flint knapper has a lot of comments to make about hammerstones. But for us, these are fun. I've only found 2 in my lifetime. And my videographer found this one this week, so good for that person. These just look like pebbles that a dump truck dumped in the field, except they're not. They're hammerstones. Very slightly used hammerstones. And this is another stumper. I am convinced, 99%, that our prehistoric people were using bolas. And they may have been using other things with round rocks, but why do I find a lot of these on village sites or on significant campsites? They can be like this, they can be perfectly round, they can be made out of different material. Here's the deal. Today it may look like nothing, but tomorrow we may discover, wow, those were bola stones, and here's how we know. Pick up, collect. And here's an example of just picking up and collecting. Broken piece. Oh, I got a broken FCR. You know what? It was a hammerstone. And it's oxidized. It was in a fire pit. That familiar green rock, in my area, you dig every one of them out. I can feel concavity right across this area. Not so much, but a little bit right there. But all along here, I can see evidence where it was being used as pounding. Now, there could be all kinds of uses for these hammers. And I'm just pulling them out. Here's some of these round stones again. And I'm not, I know what's going to happen. Some of you are going to go out and have 2,000 of these. And you're going to say, hey, look what I got. I can't help you with that. All I'm saying is that keep the idea of context. These normally don't belong there. Normally don't belong on the site, but they're there. And then we get back to our typically green stones, which 100% of the time they get popped out of the ground. And you can see that they've been used for hammers. Almost everything in this thing that came out of the ground this week and last week were buried. And buried from a lot to very little. Some of these were big, some of these are little. And you hope when you get something this big that you're close to your car because it weighs a ton. But this thing has been altered, this whole end. There's pound marks here. This is broken from usage, and it's got a concavity right here. And there's some that you just, again, you hope like crazy that these things are near your car. When you find them, it's like, you carry it. No, you carry it. No, you carry it. And I always say that's why God gave you kids. Here, you carry it. But context does not belong at all on the site. The site is mostly ground, sand, a little bit of gravel, and soil. There are no rocks like this. So when I run my hand over it, I feel a little bit of a concavity right here. Not much on this side. Now, I have not scrutinized the sides for any polish or sanding, but this would make a great, if I'm cooking or pounding something, flour, who knows, you can use it on here. But again, it's on a village site. Oh man, you're going to get to the point where another hammer. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Well, here we are. Look at the color. This particular mineral in north central, east central Ohio needs to be dug out of the ground and again, you can see it was hammering. Now, think about this. If I'm making an arrowhead, and I am not going to use this to work on it, okay? So obviously this had different use, and they were using other tools to hone in on their flint tools. Green, once again, another big green piece. And I picked this one up. It was buried. It was completely buried. But this is hugely unique granite. First of all, context. It doesn't belong on the site. Secondly, I don't see this granite in Coshocton hardly ever. But when I got him out, I could feel a slight concavity right here. And I could feel right in here another concavity. You don't have to know what these are or how they were used to recognize them as an artifact. When I first started out, I was building rock gardens in the neighborhood because I brought so much stuff home that was nothing. But you know what? I didn't miss it. I brought it home, found out it was nothing, and contributed to a rock garden. So bring it home, clean it, give it a second thought, and hopefully you'll have a mentor. I mentor a lot of people. I do the best I can. And I didn't even get to my notes. Oh, man. Listen, I love you guys. I am so glad that you came. This is an absolute delight for me to share what I've learned across the years. And one day you'll be doing the same thing. So have fun. Be careful when you're out in the fields. Enjoy it. And let's talk again later. Surprise! I lied. There's still some more, and I need to get it on there. Going back to where I hunt flint, let's look at this. I talked about the Ziploc bags and why it's critical, because when we come out of a field, we may come out with, so far this year, this is the 8th bag like this out of this one field. This is big, it's heavy, and they can rip and tear out of your bag really easy. Ziplocs, freezer size, okay? And then what I did, I quickly grabbed a couple other frames from the same field. I have over 30 frames now from that field, but just real quickly, it's just things that you'll recognize, some things that maybe you won't, but it's showing you the diversity of the tools, more triangles, and then for us to find blades that are still complete, the big blades, those are really unusual, and they're a lot of fun to find these. Most of them are in segments like that. That's a good piece. Ashtabula points. Some of the books say they were never, or they're not in Coshocton. I probably have close to 500 now that I found out of Coshocton. Again, triangular preforms that were worked into little scrapers on the end. I find that interesting. I want to come down here and show you a quickie. Let me get a pencil so I can point to these. If you look at 3 pieces here, 1, 2, and 3, can you see this? Each one has a notch. Each one has a notch. And if we looked at these notches, you would see that they are really, really well worked, both sides, complete. There is no attempt to build one on the other side. These are singular notched pieces. And I'm calling it to your attention because I'm asking you from the Ohio area if you have found any of these in your fields. I'd really like to know about it because I think we may have another tool type here. I'm just calling it to your attention. And then I like to always close with some good readings. And I'm not promoting Ohio's ARC. I'm just saying there's 4 journals a year that they produce. So for $30, you join and you get these fabulous journals. Down here, the Central States ARC Society has a journal. And I get them both, and I like them because context, this helps me with context. If I find something in this state on a certain site, then I can say, well, what's it doing in my site? And go back and forth. This is a pure paleo site. There are pure paleo sites. You can look at the tools and you can extrapolate those tools to things that you're finding on your multi-component sites to help you identify your paleo. You got to learn this stuff. 2 good books. This is a good rainy day book to read. It's written by Bob Converse. This is a real good overview of archaeology in Ohio. All the cultures, the things that characterizes the cultures, and some good history about each one that you may or may not know. And finally, stone tools, because we found so many in this field, and I thought, you know what? there really are not a whole lot of good books with good pictures. And Bob did a great job on this one. He's got just good pictures with color. And I think it's really important, essential to have good color and things that help you. So good reads, good join, journals that are worth buying because they'll help you look at context and get back and forth. All right, hey, thanks for letting me snip back into your lens. Thanks again. I promise this is it for the day.